In 2019, there was a survey of 1,129 CPA firms in the United States. And we're going to provide the hyperlink to that survey in the description below. And in that survey, it said that women represented only 23% of partners in CPA firms across the nation, and that only 16% of executive committee members for CPA firms with more than 100 CPAs were women. Cherry Blanton, CPA, do you believe that there's a bias against women serving in a partnership role in public accounting?
I believe there's a bias in all things naturally, specifically for a woman serving in a partner role. It's not serving in the role, it's rising through the ranks to get there. I do think women tend to think they can't choose motherhood and a career. They have to choose one or the other. So what I found in my experience in public accounting is they tend to fall out around the manager level and decide to choose to stay home with children as opposed to going into the partner track.
Other than motherhood, what would you suspect are some of the causes or contributors towards this disparity?
I sometimes think that women shoot themselves in the foot because they don't try to be a part maybe of the entire group or process, or engage in the going to lunch or playing golf or doing all the things maybe that their male counterparts might do. And sometimes I think you have the perception that you don't belong there, so you won't put yourself in there, and you really should. You should just always assume you belong, and whatever group that is, go for it and just be yourself.
Because I don't think there's any question that the accounting technical skills are there for anybody that's been in the profession 6 to 8 years. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. And I'm also a co-lead for my firm on the recruiting effort. So what I do see is that women start out, it's about 50-50 coming out of school, going into the public accounting scene, and then they don't stay in it as long as their male counterparts. I also think the profession, the state of the profession is saying now, and so are my college sources, less males are going to college in general, less are going into accounting. So I do think we're going to see an increase in women in those roles rising up in the ranks by virtue of just statistics.
What, other than the likelihood that as men become a smaller part of the college experience, let's assume for purposes of discussion that trend continues, and that women naturally by default will become a much larger part of the public accounting leadership, whether it be an executive committee or be a managing partner of CPA firms. Where do you see the profession going over the next 25 years?
Well, I think it's moving in the direction of women staying in the profession. I'm just thinking about the dynamics of my firm right now. 2/3 of the firm are female. And then I have senior managers that are the breadwinners in their family. And so I see that whole dynamic changing in a microcosm where I am. I do think women tend to value relationships, personal relationships, and put those and make those priority over having a career maybe as a priority. But it's so hard to break it down.
All right, as you talk about that priority, do you think this is a personality and temperament issue, or is this just women are smarter and that lives are more fulfilling when you have less business?
Well, I'm going to draw on my experience because as you age, you gain wisdom, right? So when I was younger and I went in,
Let's hope so.
hopefully, I'm going to assume that. So I entered public accounting at the ripe old age of 29. I did everything backwards. But once I got there, finding my footing on the technical side, you almost tend to not have confidence. You almost have a crisis of confidence, really. So it really takes an advocate in the firm, someone to sit you down and tell you that you have a place at the table, if you'll just go for it, if you'll just try. And I think sometimes when it comes to gender, I don't think women tend to be as aggressive with saying, I'm going to tout my potential, as opposed to putting the work in and then waiting to be recognized for the work. I think that's just, I see that all the time, and I mentor young women in accounting at the firm and at the University of Memphis. And that's my thing is always to be, you've got to let people know what you're doing so you can get the recognition, and I'll just believe in your ability, believe that you belong there, believe that you belong in whatever room it is, whether it's with a room full of men or not.